Hey, friendos. I know, early stream. Welcome to the new normal. Not really, just kidding, but just trying something different here. Hello from the Meister. Where's the Meister? Lils, Fry. Welks? Welks, I haven't seen you in a while. It's not 11 p.m. What happened? I know. Jennifer. Brittany. Hello, my friends. Angel. Best Rena in town. Sugar. Laura. Wait, what? A connection list? Yes, welcome. I've allowed it to be. Can I speak a bit louder? Do I? Yeah, does my voice sound, is it not loud enough? I can turn it up. Just want to make sure that's normal. Hey, Carrie. And friends. I can actually, yeah, I'll just... Melon time? Oh, it's always melon time. You liked watching before heading to bed? Yeah. I just, it's too low. Perfect now. Oh, yeah, I didn't... I think it's because I maybe pulled away from the mic a little bit whenever I was, like, saying something. Because, see, like, this is me, like, 2 feet away. Maybe even, like, a foot away. It's quite a bit low. Alright, I will turn it up a tad. Does that make it any better for you? I don't know if that's any better for you guys or not, but... Yeah, it's got to be midnight somewhere in the world. Maybe they're happy that I am streaming for... Yeah, getting the middle seat is the spooky air travel. This is very true. It's better now. Okay, cool. Cool. Do I ever get scared? I don't get scared of reading the stories, to be honest. Oh, shit. Oh my god. A twerk right out the gate. Thank you, Brittany. Oh my goodness, with the 30 says, thanks for a good early stream. Hope your day has been good so far, Joel. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for the 30. Thank you for helping me get my twerk muscles going. It's it's good so far. I just been waking up a little bit early, and I'm not in as much of a hurry, I guess, like today, for example. And I would normally kind of wait around for my gym to be the open gym time to be around like 6 p.m. or so. And I just thought, you know what? I got a lot of time here and nothing to do, and I might as well get a jump start on everything here, you know what I mean? And thought, we did an early stream yesterday. I'm not saying that there'll always be early streams, just kind of changing it up for a week until my sleep schedule turns back to complete poopy poop. Hannah, hello, what the frick? Yes, welcome to a day. Instead of a nightmare, you're having a daymare. You got stuff going on tonight, Hannah. Good, yeah. Your gym still isn't open. I'm sorry about that. Do I read subscriber stories? I do. I do have a lot of those videos. You're going to want to submit those to reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. That's the where a lot of stories go. But also you can email them to me at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. Yeah, we have them open here. Fortunate in that regard. It's been chill. You just sign a waiver and say, if I die, I die, And so far, nobody's gotten sick, nobody's died. And we're all looking buff as shit. Kaylee, yeah, early stream. Lila, good to see you. Yeah, just, Melinda, you know, I probably wouldn't read it if it gets into explicit detail, but if it was something that was like kind of encompassed into a sort of larger story, I suppose, like it was integral to the plot of the story, but not like maybe the entire focus of everything. I don't really know. It's hard to stay in shape, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to get motivated to go, but you know, once you find your rhythm, once you get a program, once you figure out your diet and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even that's from what I hear, like 70% of the issue.
Hey, listen.
But once you get addicted to it, and you honestly, I like lifting. You know, I like lifting heavy, doing powerlifting. For me, that's just a more satisfying thing than doing cardio. I mean, I do include cardio at times, but you know, powerlifting is also more satisfying to me than bodybuilding, though it kind of encompasses those same sort of movements in a compound fashion. And you know, whenever you can kind of track that linear movement, you know, you can actually see yourself getting stronger. Or you know, buffer or whatever it is. It has a lot more of like a tangible effect on your, you know, your excitement to do it. You know what I mean? And like when you're doing it, it's not like sometimes cardio. It's kind of a drudge, you know, to like work your way through it. But most of the time, you're just, you know, you're like, I gotta lift this fucking weight, and then you do it, and you're like, all right, that was sweet. Rook X, that's a name I've not seen in a while. With the 5 says, driving from Lathrop, California to Riverside, California, 6 hours. Thanks for early live stream. Thank you, Rook. I hope best safe travels to you. Hope everything is staying clean out in them streets. And you are staying safe, my friend. Thank you for the 5. And Jessica with the 5.49 Canadian maple syrup dollars. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. If you guys had a message for me, just at me. And I would hate to miss a message if you would like to include it. And best Rena in town with the 10 says, shout out from Anchorage, Alaska. You're one of my fave narrators. Thank you, Rena. Buddy of mine married a girl from Anchorage. Obviously, that's years and years ago. They have 6 kids now, but from what it sounds like, you guys got some good people out that way. Have you realized how many stories end with the phrase, again? Yes. Yes. I was talking about that last stream. There's a lot of different stories that share a lot of similar phrases, per se. And it kind of annoys me at times, you know, but at the same time, I'm just like, you know, I'm just used to it at this point. Wait, Hannah, why is was my chin down at some point? I don't recall why. Alright, I'm just gonna tweet this out live now, early and stuff. Tweety tweet twat, tweet twat. I tweeted out the twat, tweet twat.
Hey, listen.
Lila with the 2 says, because I love you. Thank you, Lila. I love you as well. Where you go after death experience matters. I'm confused what that statement means. Did you have a near-death experience? Why did I start doing scary stories on YouTube? I don't know. I just wanted to start a YouTube channel. And reading was something that I thought was unique, you know what I mean? To not really be a thing that's on YouTube. And people have told me before that my voice has been kind of like an NPR type experience, you know? Kind of like buzz, buzz, buzz till you pass out. And, which back then it was mildly offensive, but now I realize it's, you know. Oh, the Discord invite is invalid. And now said, yeah, I need to update that on there. You know, it's stupid. You can set a Discord invite to never expire, but it's still does expire. But anyways, yeah, so I made the channel and eventually stumbled across creepypastas. And oh yeah, thank you, Hannah, for putting that Discord invite. So there's an updated Discord invite on in the chat there if you guys want to join that. A lot of good people over there.
Listen.
Yeah, and I stumbled across creepypasta. I was like, well, I guess this is where I'm going, you know what I mean? And I've just kind of been following that rabbit trail for quite a while, you know. And this is where I have arrived to. I'm very thankful for everything, you know what I mean? Like I'm just thankful that I stuck with it and that I kind of followed that desire, that I guess you could call it a dream, you know what I mean? And just having people like you guys support me along the way has been just amazing. Jennifer with the 5 says, can't stay for the whole stream, but I'll show you love, darling. Thank you. And no worries, Jennifer. I'm just glad you guys can pop in. I mean, I'm like I said, my normal upload schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. upload time. Anyways, yesterday I did that stream, which actually I guess would technically be a very late stream compared to when I normally would. Now this one's mega early, but yesterday I was actually kind of in a rush after I finished it to like edit everything. So I would not suggest rushing yourself like that to get stuff done. It's not a fun experience. Rachel Russell with the 10 Aussie bucks says 4 a.m. in Perth, Western Australia. First time I'm thankful for insomnia. Love you, Joel. Thank you, Rachel. I'm sorry you got the insomnia, but hopefully we can lead you to the dreamland. Horror Whisper says, wishing you all an amazing day. Thank you, Let's Read, for streaming. You are motivating me every single day to read stories. For reading stories. Nice, Horror. I'm glad I can motivate you there. It's once you find your rhythm, you know what I mean? Like that grind is where you kind of find yourself, you know what I mean? And it's fun. You guys make it fun every day. You know, it's like I've made a lot of friends through this. I think one of the cool things about doing this is like it's like an immediate icebreaker, you know, as far as like having friends where Fearsome Hero, that's good to hear. I'm glad. But, you know, as far as making friends goes, it's just whenever you're the YouTube guy, you know what I mean? Like, and you're in your own Discord, like, you can immediately talk to people and it's really nice. Whereas IRL, it's like you kind of have to, like, earn that sense of friendship and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Which is way harder. I'm sure you guys understand how that goes. Like, going into a workplace, you gotta, like, earn your position, but, like, I'm a pretty like nice guy anyways, so it's like since I already know that I'm gonna be like nice to people already, already having them like being welcoming to you is just like, oh, this makes life way easier when everybody's just friendly to one another right out the gate. Estrella Lovely with the 2, thank you, Estrella, good to see you. And Jessica with the 7 Canadian Beaver Bucks. Hey again, because I'm dumb today, here's another 7. On average, how many stories do you get submitted? Love you from the Great White North. Thank you, Jessica. Oh man, there's so many. There's so many stories, and it's tough to siphon through all of them, but whenever people kind of like leave what the topic is going to be about and kind of a synopsis, I guess, in the title, it makes it way easier. And that's kind of why, like, stuff that gets submitted on the subreddit is a lot easier for me, though a lot of those stories get put into the subscriber stories batch. And Mr. Anthony Esposito is here with the 5, says, why did you start doing scary stories? To give you nightmares and judge everyone you meet? Yeah, pretty much, that's it right there. I am here to pass judgment and spook you to death. I am the god of hellfire. Horror Wishes, if I ever grow, it will be my dream to come to try to collab with you. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for being here with us. I feel amazing in this fandom. Nice. Yeah, that would be great. Definitely down the road sometime. I'll have to take a listen to your stuff. Lila says, have you ever played Fall Guys? It's so much fun. I did play Fall Guys briefly. Me and Jensen played it together. We only played like one or two rounds of it. It was funny. You know, it's a silly little sort of battle royale slash party game, which I had a lot of fun, just, but I have not had much of a chance to get back into it since the first time we tried it. But I think that game just basically it needs to let the community take over if it wants to see like a longevity. And by that I mean, like, if they would have came in the package with like create your own levels and just had like some sort of community type, like basic modes or whatever for the community to mess with, but then you could create your own levels, like I think that would have kind of in a similar fashion to Mario Maker extended the community for probably years, you know what I mean? So hopefully at some point they implement that with the money that they've gotten from its pretty widespread success thus far, but we shall see. The same thing every day said, I just wanted to let you know you are the top narrator in the game. Consistent upload, great story choice, fan interaction, and kindness. King equals you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I try my best. Jennifer Timmons with the 5 says, hey, come back to VC. You are missed. Oh, yeah, maybe later here, after a little bit of hot stream action. I was actually going to stream, and then I got into voice chat, and then I get distracted for a while talking about random stuff. And time gets away from me pretty fast. Do I have any of my own scary stories? I do not really. Just mainly like sleep paralysis experiences, and nothing like too outright creepy IRL. I'm not like some hot babe worth stalking or anything like that. Reen Remix, can you sing my song? I don't know what your song is, my friend, but I'm singing it in my heart. I don't feel like me as a person, as far as experiencing scary stuff, like, oh yes, I shall return eventually, Jennifer. Karen horror stories, that would be hilarious. From the perspective of the poor managers. What do I think of Trevor Henderson? I never heard of Trevor. Also, I saw another YouTuber in here briefly. Where was he at? Well, shoot. I think I lost track. Oh, there's Carson Claus. Thank you, Carson. It's good to see you, man. What have you been up to? Joel totally has stalkers. Yeah, I guess from YouTube, that's definitely a possibility, and I'm sure you're very stalkable. Yeah, I leave a very strong scent behind me at all times, so you'll never lose it. In case anybody's in a desire to stalk me, like, you just take a whiff in the air and you can probably find me a couple miles away. A lot of thirst for Joel. I feel like, I don't know, like, as far as female thirst goes, the nice thing about that is that it doesn't really manifest into anything, like, creepy, if you know what I mean, or at least maybe what I perceive to be creepy. Whereas on the opposite end, if you're like a hot streamer girl, I smell like beef, yeah. I smell like beef. But if you're like a streamer girl, it's like, I feel like you almost have to go through the creepy thing. Or maybe it's like a predisposition to just sort of anticipating creepers, or like, maybe my definition of what is creepy is way different than like what a streamer girl might go through and what they consider creepy. So maybe I have like a much stronger tolerance for creepy. So maybe I'm fortunate in that regard. Pradeep's all sprawled out right now on the floor. I think it's just cooler down on the hardwood floor. But it can become obsessive for certain personality types of women. Yeah, I would say that the obsession stuff, I've experienced it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, it hasn't been too bad. Time travel stories. Yeah, a lot of those Glitch in the Matrix stories, like, there's some where they like go through certain areas and it's like they go through like a time warp or some shit and like see stuff from the past or whatever, but then when they exit out on the other side, it's like an SCP almost, like, but the SCP is a tunnel or an area of a mountain or something like that, or a highway. Jensen, my friend, what is up, my dude? I'm sure I've been creeped on. I mean, just from you, Hannah, pretty much. You'd be glad I don't have to deal with dick pics. Oh, yeah, I've got a whole backlog of those just sitting in a big folder, categorized by size, girth, you know, angular momentum from the yaw. Just a freaking binder full of them. One day they will. I'll use them to blackmail everybody. What's that? There's like a funny meme of like Ninja, you know, the streamer Ninja, and he's like, "Send me your dick pics." But I think like they took it out of context because before he's like, "Don't," and then he looks at the camera, "Send me your dick pics." I think that's kind of why I don't make my Snapchat public, because that I probably would be inundated with that. The curvature, the angular curvature. Really, if you're like a astrophysicist, you probably know more about like wieners than you probably hope to know. Steve's getting his loaded. It's like a whole like a magazine into his carbine rifle to shoot these wiener pics my way. Turn on the slow mode for the chat. I actually feel like the chat's at a good spot compared to like some streamers. Like this chat I can like actually keep up with. There's some like meme, you know, if you're ever going to like XQC, granted he's got like 30,000 people watching at one time, dude. His stream is just like meme after meme after meme, and like he can like I don't know if he like has a different one that he can view or whatever, but yes, my friends, we have got 7 air travel related stories. So I've done airport stories in the past, but these ones are more oriented towards just like, I guess, the overall concept of like air travel and airports and things of that nature. So, and I think some of them might even be sort of like documentary style as well, which is pretty cool. I love it when people send those in because it's like they're so into a topic that they've done like research on it to kind of determine, you know. Yeah, some streams scroll faster and then end credits they do. And it's just like it's not like pretty like a it's not pretty like an end credits in the movie. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for being here. I actually love this music, and I wonder what it would be like if I read with like chill wave, synthwave type music going on. But at the same time, I know that it's probably best to kind of like set the mood, you know, set the spooky mood. Oh yeah, I always forget that. Yeah, like the stream, share it out if you would. That would be lovely. And I think it helps, you know, it helps get more people in here, get YouTube letting them know that we need to notify people that hot stream action is happening. Carlos, what's up, my friend? It's good to see you. Okay, so you're in need of some Iron Cthulhu. Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse. There it is. Looking for my folder where I've got like 100 of his songs ready to rock and roll from all the years of being a patron of his. Yeah, we'll just go out of the aeons. Ooh. It's a bit loud. We'll catch a vibe on this volume length here, and adjust it as need be. Sorry, turn that off. Lovecraftian stories are the best. Yeah, Lovecraft was quite a master as far as like the sort of existential dread of infinity and how the void of the universe has no sort of personal love for you. And just how incredibly indifferent a creature like Cthulhu is towards anyone's life or death, and just the mere sight of him drives people to insanity. But once again, guys, thanks for being here. We got 7 air travel stories we're going to bust through. I'm just going to record about 10 seconds of silence here before we start this first story. Maybe lube up the old lips here quick. Carlos, yeah, Reddit is a good spot. I can't always guarantee a story is going to get read, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it gets lost in the wash and all that kind of stuff. Alex E., what's up? We are hip-hoppity early, baby. How old am I? I'm 30. Dirty 30. Maybe turn this up just a tad. Really set the mood. Can you show your face? I'm telling you guys, the face is... it's underwhelming. You just focus on my voice. Morocco is one of the most beautiful places I'd ever been in my life. From the beaches to the deserts, from the forests to the ancient trading souks and bazaars, it's... wait, is that a souk? What's a souk? Souks? No. Not souls, but souks.
Souk.
Souks, okay. Cool. From the forest to the... shit. Someone's gonna have to keep track of mistakes here. Already feeling it. From the forest to the ancient trading souks and bazaars, it's just a visually phenomenal place. I had no idea the place could even have forests, so if you were surprised to hear that, don't worry about it. Like I said, Morocco is mind-blowing. Only it's not just the sights that I found so memorable. The sounds of traditional instruments, of camels bellowing over the whipping of their riders. Sorry, I think I read that kind of weird. Does anyone collect spin tops? I never collected spin tops. It sounds kind of cool. Only it's not just the sights that I found so memorable. The sounds of traditional instruments, of camels bellowing over the whipping of the riders, and the smells of Morocco are also burned in my memory. Spices, incense, sweet perfumes, but also less wholesome things like hashish. I'm not into smoking at all, really. I've always been really into keeping myself healthy, but I had some friends in uni who smoke, so I know what it smells like, and Morocco is full of the stuff. Anyway, at the end of our 3-week trip, my girlfriend and I were typically late for the return flight. We're collectively so badly organized that I'm amazed we even managed to keep our heads screwed on. We're so late in our schedule that we had absolutely no chance of taking the advice of a fellow traveler that was given us the night before. It seemed a bit weird, but he insisted that we get off the bus halfway through, buy fresh tickets, and continue the rest of the journey. When I asked him why, he just sort of tapped his nose with his finger as if to say, "That's for me to know and you to find out." He was a bit of a wanker, if I'm being honest. I'm not about to follow advice from someone like that who might have just been messing with us, and as if I had the money or spare time to just buy us a pair of new tickets for no bloody reason at all. So we ignored his I gotta adjust my microphone. Zach Parker, what's up, dude? Hoping that we watch no matter what time it is. Nice. The Parker family. we're so late. Sorry, I can't keep track of what this person's saying. So we ignore. Okay, there it is. Alex E with the 2 says wholesome. Wholesome memes all the way. Axeman, what is good, my broski? Everybody say hello to Axeman. He's here to start a mosh pit. So we ignored his oh-so-sage advice and just got the bus that we had been planning on getting. The next morning, we got on the bus from... Oh, how the fuck do you say that? Chef Chowin? Chef Chowin? Dear God. God, I wish Wikipedia had pronunciations. It would make life a lot easier. The blue... Okay.
Today we're exploring Chef Chawan, internationally...
Chef Chawan. Okay, cool. Thanks, random guy on the internet. The next morning, we got on the bus from Chef Chawan, the last leg of our journey to the capital, Rabat. It was a very long, very uncomfortable journey in the rickety old vehicle that looked like it had been on the road since the 50s or something. Not to mention it was compounded by the fact that, for the first time on the entire trip, I had managed to have eaten something that didn't agree with me. Needless to say, I was feeling pretty rough. When we finally got to the airport, we must have only had about an hour's to spare before our flight departed, so we ended up hurrying through check-in and must have appeared visibly anxious to all the staff present, which is generally not a good idea when traveling internationally. We also had a lot of Moroccan currency to change back into British pounds, and I remember the cashier looking rather suspicious at the fact that we had so much and that we seemed to be in a big rush to leave the country. In a rush to leave and my... Wait, what? In a rush to leave and... Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, Random guy on the internet. Famous last words. That was the last you've heard of Let's Read once he went down a dark, dank hole on the net. Yeah, always make sure you get consent from your food before you eat it. Hello, banana. I'm going to shove you in my mouth. What? No! No! In a rush to leave, and, in my case, in a massive rush to find a bloody toilet so I could, see to some personal businesses resulting from that dodgy lamb tagine that I had the previous night. What the fuck? Lamb tagine? What the hell is that? Guys, why do we learn so much shit every time we read stories? I've had enough of it. I'm done learning. I've reached my capacity for learning.
Tagine.
Oh, it was tagine. Damn, I'm pretty good, guys. I'm pretty good at reading. In a rush to leave, and in my case, in a massive rush to find a bloody toilet so I could, see to some personal business resulting from that dodgy lamb tagine that I had the previous night. Chef Chowan, not Chef Chowan. That would be funny. Hello guys, I'm Chef Chowan. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed. Security tell them that. Realize why they What? Oh, wait. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed. Security tell them... What? Security tell them that? Realize why the changeover of... What? Joel, if you let me come over with the hammer, I can make space in your head so you can learn more things. Yeah, we need to clear out some. It's getting full. Take some of that gray matter out. Who needs an edumacation? Winter, yeah, winter's hibernating right now. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed. This sentence makes no fucking sense. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed, which I assume is marijuana. Security tell them that. Realize why the changeover, of course. It was Sod's law that the blokes in security... What the fuck are they talking about? Is this like a British slang or some shit? I would like to punch this story right in the story's bunghole. Anger. Mad. I angry. I read angry. It's just so frustrating whenever you're like, how did you write? You literally wrote a sentence like, from that dodgy lamb tagine I had the previous night, you know, like, to then writing a sentence that says, Chef Chowan make load of weed. Security tell them. Realize why that changeover of court. Like, I have no idea what this entire sentence is trying. They might have gotten high in between paragraphs. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed. Security realized... Oh, this is so confusing. Realize why the changeover, of course. I don't fucking know. What, whatever. Let me read that previous one again. In a rush to leave, and in my case, in a massive rush to find a bloody toilet, so I could, see to some personal business resulting from that dodgy lamb tagine I'd had the previous night. Of course, it was Sod's law that the blokes in security pulled us up to one side for a closer inspection of our luggage. It was just what we didn't need, so naturally it's how things unfolded. Just our luck. And after clearing out pretty much everything we'd packed, he decided he should summon another member of security to take a further look. I then made the near fatal mistake of informing him that I really needed to visit a restroom while we waited, explaining in my terrible Arabic that I had an upset stomach, pointing dramatically to my belly and making strained faces. He asked me in broken English, like, "Have you swallowed anything?" And I take this to mean him asking if I'd taken any medicine for it, to which I nod and reply that I'd taken some stool hardener, but that they hadn't seemed to help in the least bit. It was only then that it dawned on me that we each had a completely different understanding of what the situation was. Somehow I'm guessing that he'd seen our bus tickets, he knew where he'd traveled from, and starts explaining that Chef Chowan is a big hashish producing. Rook X with the 5 says, let's read. Do you proofread these stories before you read them? I do not, no. So I just kind of, I don't even know. I just kind of, pretty much me experiencing them is kind of you experiencing them at the same time. And I'm like completely going cold, which it turns out pretty decent. So I haven't had to like really put additional effort into that. Oh shit. Oh my god. But. Holy shit, Anthony, with the $100 donation says, read that story, baby. Read that story. I will. I most certainly will. If I can comprehend it. That's the difficult part. But thank you, Anthony. Holy shit. Holy shit. I honestly, I wasn't sure how people would react to like me streaming earlier and stuff like that, or if anybody would even be here. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you. Holy hell.
Hey, listen.
And Lils with the 5 says, Anthony is such a baller. He fucking is, man. He just makes it rain. Once in a while, if he donates too much, my like roof just opens up with all the coins that he's sprinkled upon me. It's like my whole room just fills up like what's his name? That Darkwing Duck. Not Darkwing Duck. Scrooge McDuck. Just swimming in a pile of gold coins. Thank you guys again. I really do appreciate that. Holy hell. It was only then that it dawned on me that we each had a completely different understanding of what the situation was. Somehow I'm guessing that he'd seen our bus tickets and he knew where he'd traveled from, and starts explaining that Chef Chowan is a big hashish producing region and that I'd require further inspection before I'd be allowed to board our flight. My heart sank. He thought I was a drug smuggler. I mean, I wasn't worried about them finding anything, as I wasn't what they suspected me to be at all, but All the delay meant that we might miss our flight home, which would be a huge inconvenience at the time when we didn't need any of that at all. Not only that, but them not finding anything meant that the inspection might get very, very thorough, if you catch my drift. I had previously been in physical danger of completely soiling my pants from the tangine, but tagine. Carrie, we are on story 1 here, so of 7. So we definitely got some more stories to read. 8T8T. Is that a Star Wars reference? Yeah, we're going live, baby. Anthony's using his parents' credit cards. What was that meme? That guy, Master Chief needs your help. He needs your parents' credit card and the 3 digits on the back. Excuse me. It's like I got a burp like deep down within myself. Anthony says, I'm just waiting for him to bring this up before I go downstairs. My fiance asks why I send that much. You're going to get beached out. You're going to get a spanky from the hubby. Hubby and or lubby. I'm not sure what the term I'm looking for there is. Hallie Long with the 2 says, oh my god, yes, perfect start to my 9-hour shift, heart you. Thank you, Hallie. Public service announcements. Make sure, oh okay. Angry Hobo says, public service announcement. Make sure to switch the notification bell from personalized to all. That way you should get all of the notifications right away. Interesting. Yeah, I think there was a degree of like how many, like to the degree in which you can get notified and stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, yeah, definitely mark it so that it's like immediately you get all the notifications and stuff. Though I think YouTube was actually doing away with YouTube was doing away with like email notifications. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So that's kind of weird. Even because I actually sometimes I would get emails about channels that I do want to see when their videos go live and stuff, and or not just live, but you know, release. I had previously been in physical danger of completely soiling my pants from the tagine, but now it was fear that became a clear and present danger to the integrity of my underwear. I tried to explain that I needed the loo, but by then, 2 armed police officers with sniffer dogs had appeared, and we were pretty much frog-marched into the corner of the security area while we waited, confident if a little nervous for them to check our bags. I was then escorted to an interview room where a Moroccan immigration official literally poked at my stomach whilst asking me a series of questions in perfect English about my drug consumption habits. He asked me if I knew what the Chef Chawan was. Oops, sorry. Your email has 96,000 unread emails. Yeah, I'm the same way. People always see my email like inbox and they're like, why? They're like, how the fuck can you have that many unread emails and not have like OCD to clear them all out? And I don't know. I just like, you know how you get so much spam email all the time that eventually you just kind of get used to it, and you're able to, you're able to like siphon through and figure out which ones are important to you or whatever. Because you just, I don't know, you check it every day or whatever. But that's kind of how mine got, where like all of the other worthless ones, rather than going to like spam or me delete, taking the effort to like delete them since there's so many, I just kind of like let them pile up. I think it's gotten to the point where like I get notifications from Google saying like, hey, you need to delete a shit ton of unread emails, otherwise you're going to run out of memory. He asked me if I knew that Chef Chawan was a big hashish producing. Fuck, man, I cannot read. He asked me if I knew that Chef Chawan was a big hashish producing region, and I told him that I knew it was made all over Morocco. He asked if I'd ever been offered any whilst in my country. Sorry. He asked if I'd ever been offered any whilst in country, and I replied honestly that I had. Big mistake. He turned to his colleagues, smiled, and said something in Arabic which I'd almost was certain would have translated to, "We got one." After a bit of talking among themselves, the immigration official tells me that I'd have to wait a while they brought in a doctor to examine me. Once again, I tried to explain to them that there had just been a horrible misunderstanding, and all that I had was... Oh shit. Oh man. Anthony, thank you for the $50 dono. Says, well off to spend time with the birthday girl. It's a birthday? That's amazing. I remember a while back you gave us some good news about some family action, so I hope that everything's going well with that. And tell her I said happy birthday. Holy hell. Thank you again for the... Jesus Christ, it's like insanely generous. I don't even know what to say. But thank you. I hope you guys have a good evening, a good afternoon. Yeah, this guy in the story is making some really, really poor decisions on how they interact with these immigration officials, because I feel like the last thing you want to say is, yeah, they offered me some drugs, but I just shoved them up my butt. I didn't want to take them till later. After a bit of talking among themselves, the immigration official tells me that I'd have to wait while they brought in a doctor to examine me. Once again, I tried to explain that there had just been a horrible misunderstanding, and that all I had was an upset stomach, nothing illegal on me at all. I begged for them to let me go to the toilet, but the more I did so, the more certain they seemed that they'd caught me out, and that any toilet trip would inevitably be to hide the evidence. Chef Chowan makes loads of weed. Oops. Sorry, I read that wrong. I begged for them to let me know. I begged for them to let me go to the toilet, but the more I did so, the more certain they seemed that they'd caught me out, and that any toilet trip would inevitably be to hide the evidence. My girlfriend was in tears as we waited. The whole thing was grimmer than grim, because the officials seemed to be taking a remarkable amount of pleasure in my suffering. I get that it's because they thought that they caught a smuggler, and they'd probably get a commission or something for doing so, so I can't really blame them for that. Blech, I fucking got caught on my lips. Anybody ever get caught on their lips? Ray-ish with the 10 says, I'll throw you more when I get paid. I use my extra money on drugs. No worries. Just please don't go through customs when you do so. But no, thank you. Thank you so much for the 10. I appreciate that. Hey, Angel, take care. Good to see you. Yeah, bring me a bucket. I'll shit in a bucket, and you can see I don't have any drugs in my bunghole. I get that it's because they thought that they caught a smuggler, and they probably get a commission or something for doing so, so I can't really blame them for that. But it just made the situation so much worse. Eventually, they announced that the doctor in question had arrived to examine me, but I didn't see any bloke in white dock and stethoscope, only the original 2 security officials who had pulled us aside in the first place. Pulled us aside. God damn it. Eventually, they announced that the doctor in question had arrived to examine me, but I didn't see any bloke in white and a stethoscope, only the original 2 security officials who had pulled us aside in the first place. It was horrifying. I asked if they had any medical credentials on them, but they just laughed and told me to follow them, and that if I resisted, I'd be detained in bloody Moroccan jail as a smuggler and charged with some trumped-up crime. Obviously, I had no choice but to follow them. I was led to a room deep inside some kind of detention center and was shocked by what I saw. It was something I'd never seen before, but laying eyes on the thing, it made a lot of sense very suddenly, perhaps too much sense. It was basically a large, stainless steel toilet with no obvious method of flushing what was dumped into it. This was obviously where smugglers would evacuate whatever was inside them before immigration officials could sift through the waste for whatever contraband they suspected of being secreted. Then the English-speaking official told me in a very intimidating manner that he was going to find out if I was lying or not. I actually thanked him for finally letting me use the toilet. Call it Stockholm Syndrome or whatever, but I was feeling rough as a bear's butt by this point. But when I asked him if it was possible to get a little privacy, he expressed his... But when I asked him if it was possible to get a little bit of privacy, his expression turned. He told me in no uncertain terms, as he took out a latex glove and pulled it over his hand, that it was either I force out whatever was inside of me, or he'd do it himself. I was absolutely horrified. This guy was massive. I mean, a real bear of a man, and his hands were huge. Trembling with fear, I just nodded. He pushed me inside the room with the special toilet inside, closed the door behind him, then motioned through the plexiglass window for me to do my business. It was then that I realized that I would have some manner of revenge on the man, that I was about to do something truly disgusting, and that he was now the one that had no choice but to suffer through it. I did as I was told, pulled my pants down and began to fill the bowl with all that dodgy tagine. God. This is a great story to start on, a diarrhea story. Jessica Simmons with the 5 says, "Hey, babe, how you doing, Joelster?" I'm doing good. Thank you for the 5, Jessica. How are you doing? How goeth it? Fernando, thank you. Yeah, I guess, sorry, that sounded weird. I hope you guys enjoyed... I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video. We had Southern Cannibal as a collaboration at the end, so... Yeah, hopefully nobody's having lunch right now or early dinner. Second breakfast. I did as I was told, pulled my pants down and began to fill the bowl with all that dodgy tagine that I'd consumed the previous night. Chef Chowan makes... Oh, fuck. What? I did as I was told, pulled my pants down and began to fill the bowl with all that dodgy tagine that I'd consumed the previous night. There was a moment when I thought to ask him for some privacy again, but it slowly dawned on me that I no longer cared. If we wanted to hang around to realize the giant bloody... Sorry, he wanted to hang around. If he wanted to hang around to realize the giant bloody mistake he'd made, that was his business. Besides, the pure relief that I'd felt to finally sit down on a toilet, well, that made what happened next so much bloody easier. I actually groaned with relief as an explosive, thundering poo fired out of my behind, my butt temporarily becoming an aerosol of feces and intestinal mucus. I found myself looking up at him through that plexiglass window with a smug smile that said, "I told you so, mate. Didn't I tell you?" After a minute or so, he just shook his head, walked off, and let me to it. By the time I returned to my girlfriend, she was repacking our luggage, still shaken and uncertain as to what fate had awaited me in that airport detention center. She burst into tears again when she saw me, threw her arms around me while sobbing something along the lines of, "Let's just get out of here, babe. I don't want to be here another minute." My sentiments exactly. In an instance of unusual fortune for people as disorganized as us, our flight ended up being delayed by a good few hours, so we actually managed to get home without a hitch. But the whole experience taught me a lot. A whole lot. There are always just terrible cops wherever you are. Learning your rights is up there with remembering your passport, and always make sure you carry some emergency monetary notes in case you need to bribe somebody in a disabled toilet in an airport in order to save yourself from a whole world of embarrassment and stress. Rayish with the 5 says, "Jessica Simmons is hot. I'm sorry, but I love my wife, and so can everyone else for $100. Hell yeah. Let's read, what do you like to eat? I mean, I'll eat anything. I kind of like to just mix a bunch of shit together. That's why I love burritos are amazing. Lasagna. just like a big mashing of like rice and meat and vegetables and shit, like stir fry. Really, I mean, I just fucking pizza. Shit, I love all food, man. Pretty much every food you could have, I like it. And the Harborough sugar-free gummy bears reviews, yeah. What was his name? The LA Beast, whenever he like ate a whole bag of those and just his whole butt exploded. I remember one time I got sugar-free Reese's cups and they had a very similar effect, and that was a very painful experience for me. Do I eat cat? I eat all the cat. And munch on it from time to time. Munch on Pradeep's ear. He's just like turned over in the cutest fashion with his like belly exposed. Just asking to get rubbed. Rubbed down. Okay, number 2. Shout out to LA Beast. I know. Yeah, he's crazy, dude. He'll eat. I mean, that would be if I went down that route, you know, when people say, "What made you start doing YouTube?" and it certainly wasn't inspiration from LA Beast to start an eating channel. I think that would be the most destructive decision I could have ever made. My watch time must be insane. Yeah, I guess it is pretty wild. Like whenever I see like it shows the watch time on a single video and it says like years of like it's just weird for me to like to think like the culmination of how much time you guys have put into like just listening to my videos is years and years and of listening. It's crazy. Wasn't the last one number 2? Yeah, well, it's oh, you're going based off the subreddit. Yeah, but as far as like number 2 on the I didn't want to start with the one because it looked like it was like a documentary style story, and I was like, well, that's probably not one to like start off with. But I think I'm actually not going to start with a diarrhea story either as far as the editing goes, because I don't really think anybody wants to hear about poopy right out the gate. I feel like a funny story is probably better for later on. I hate flying. I've always hated flying. From the first family vacation I took with my parents, who insisted it was exciting and fun, I was absolutely terrified of it. And I have been ever since. Let's read, you married, my guy? All these females are single waiting for you. Yeah, me and Hannah are married. And I guess Dana, too. Dana's included in that because it's in her name. Where was I? Hannah laid claim. She stuck her flag right in me. Right in my bum. From the first family vacation I took with my parents who insist... Oh, that's right, okay. And I have been ever since. I was hysterical in that first flight. Feeling such a huge, heavy thing just lifting off the ground felt so unnatural, and it still does. Not to mention the feeling I got when the plane banked to one side and all I could see were clouds on one side of us and the ground on another. Jesus, we were up so high. I still can't get over how tiny everything looks when you're taking off, and that just makes me imagine the feeling of a plane just stalling and plummeting back to Earth. I'm pretty sure I really embarrassed my parents that day, and I feel horrible about that. But my dad assured me it'd get easier with every flight, that eventually flying would be as mundane and boring as traveling by car. But it never did. It never got any easier. The only thing that got easier was suppressing how I felt about it. Like I can't take a window seat at all, and if I'm assigned one, I spend my time on the runway pretty much begging anyone who will listen to switch seats with me. I remember a time when I had a seat next to an emergency exit. You know, the ones where the flight attendant... the flight attendant... Oh, is this going to be a video? Yes, my friend, it shall. Basically, how the streams work is... as I record these stories, Hannah's married to everybody. She's reverse polygamist. Well, I guess it wouldn't be reverse. It would just be polygamous, but like with every single person you come across. um, what was it talking about? I don't even remember. Oh yeah. So I basically record these stories and then they turn them into a video. Steve, you like the aisle seats? I don't like climbing over people to use the bathroom. I know I know that's probably one of the painest in the asses right there. And Winter, what's up? I know it's very early. I'm sorry. Welks with the 5 says, thanks for the company while I clean my room. Ha, keep up the awesome work. Thank you, Welks. It's good to see you. Oh, yes. Fry's got a good idea. Go follow my Instagram. Not just my Instagram. So Twitter for me is at Let's Read Creepy. Instagram at Let's Read.official. And then my meme page is at Horny Computer. Fry's got some big involvement in that one as far as the meme game goes. So if you guys have any memes, please do send them to me. I would love to. Basically, I just like completely spam post my story with memes. But it's fun because I feel like I kind of like going through stories that have good memes, you know what I mean, like on Instagram. But a lot of like meme pages on Instagram don't have very good stories. Like you go through them and they're just like, or I don't know what it is, but like a really messy story. Do you ever like click someone's story and it like has like text down at the bottom, text at the top, like a swipe up thing, a fucking link to a channel, and like music playing, and it's like, I'm like, I don't even know where my attention should be diverted to in these like 7 seconds that this is going to be scrolling across, you know, and I'm just want like very simple thing. Send them. Yeah, oh, I mean, you can DM me your meme page, meme stuff. You can submit them, or, you know, just put them on this on the Discord. I have a whole meme area for this on the Discord. Basically, I mean, I just steal memes all day long. I mean, I had so many memes on my phone. I was like, well, you know, at this point, it's like I have so many memes, I might as well start a meme page. You know what I mean? The best stolen memes. Oh yes, we got the best memes in town. I'm telling you. I remember a time when I had a seat next to an emergency exit. You know, the ones where the flight attendant has to ask if you're cool with having that level of responsibility. They didn't have to ask. I found her and pretty much told her straight up to move me. So in March of last year, I had a relative die in a car accident. It was sudden, it sucked, and the funeral was arranged pretty quickly. Thanks to work commitments, I couldn't do my usual thing of taking the bus or the train across the country. I was forced to book a flight. It was that or skip the funeral, and there was no way I was about to do that, so I reluctantly pack a small bag, get a taxi to the airport, and board the flight to Philly. I usually just booze it up in the terminal bars, then continue to fortify myself on the flight. It always helps a little, just never quite enough, you know? And it was on this flight back home that I experienced the worst turbulence of my entire life. The kind that started out kind of gentle, just a little shaking on the plane while the fearful flyers like me gripped our armrests and prayed for it to end. But it got worse and worse and worse. The rougher it got, the more worried the passengers got, and that feeling of dread. My God, I just soaked it up as the plane continued to shake. It got so bad that the flight attendants started to look worried, and that's about the point that I felt myself having a full-on panic attack. It always kind of reassured me when there's turbulence. Whoops. Do you get to see my face anywhere on social media? I think in the Discord, I had a bunch of pictures of me, but then just due to privacy concerns, I like recently deleted pretty much all of them. But there is one in there that is buried deep within the selfies area that you might be able to find if you'd like to see me back in my my college heyday, back in my prime. Actually, I would consider right now my prime probably, but actually maybe my future. Maybe I haven't even reached my prime. My God, think about it. But yeah, I don't. Oh, Brittany, thank you. He got a cute ass face. I got an ass face. What the hell? JK. Oh yeah, like Fry. Yeah, Fry is linking the Discord stuff there if you want to click it. It always kind of reassured me when there's turbulence, but the flight attendants look all chill, like, this isn't anything. We got this all the time. We got this. Fuck. This isn't anything. We get this all the time. But looking up and seeing the girls in those crisp uniforms looking terrified themselves, Jesus, that put the fear of God right into me. At one point, the plane was shaking so bad that one particular flight attendant had to grab seats either side of the aisle just to make her way down the plane. Babies were wailing. People were literally crying and praying for God to keep us all safe. The whole time I'm just white-knuckling it, downing the booze bottles I had set up in front of me, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't say a few silent prayers myself, despite not being a religious person in that moment. Fuck, sorry.
Hey, listen.
Adam Bryceland with the 2 says your voice is awesome and relaxing. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for the 2, my friend. And Lils with the 5 says Joel is super cute. Garcias, my friend. I got a cute ass face. A zaddy. I took a Zanny with my zaddy. Despite not being religious in the slightest. Then something happened that I'd never seen before or since. The plane hit some pocket of air so intense that it sent a jolt through the plane that was so heavy that it literally took the flight attendant off her feet. It threw her into the air and slammed her heat off. Oh, her head. She slammed her heat. She was in heat. It threw her into the air and slammed her head off the top of the ceiling of the cabin. Passengers are screaming at this point as blood starts dripping off the poor girl's scalp, and she tries and fails over and over to find her feet. People tried to help her from the seats, leaning over and reaching out to her, but she was visibly stunned by the impact, to the point that she looked drunker than I must have been. I was convinced the plane was going down. I'd never heard of or seen anything like that kind of turbulence. Never seen that turbulence before. I was convinced that plane was going down. I'd never heard of or seen anything like that kind of turbulence, and in a moment of horrible clarity, I accepted that I was going to die. I pictured my relatives at the funeral, getting the double whamming news that one of our kin had died, only for another to perish on a flight back home. That was the worst part, considering the heartache they'd suffer, knowing that I'd settled in for the big sleep, but they'd still be hurting, even more so than they were before. But eventually the whole thing settled down gradually, and as cheesy as it sounds, by the time the pilot came over the intercom to tell us that they were looking free and clear until Philly, the cabin I was in broke out into applause. I don't know what happened to the flight attendants. I mean, I imagine she got medical treatment as soon as we touched down, but I remember looking down the aisle and seeing her head all banged up, with blood having leaked down her face, mixing with the thick mascara she was wearing. Jesus, it really was like a scene from a horror movie. After another hour or so of flying, we touched down in Philly, and as we call the big sleep, I'm going for a big nap. Do I got a fetish story? I don't think so. Who knows? We're only 2 stories in, so there might still be time. And then everyone clapped. Yeah, when we clap when you land, like... I mean, it's fine. It's fine if you do that. I don't mind. Just know that to break the rules and one-up you, I usually do a standing ovation. So, you know what? Try and keep up with me. I usually cheer. I whistle at the pilot. I give him a wink. I pat him on the butt. Say, good job, bro. You did your job. Angie Gibson with a 10. Thank you, Angie. Thank you. After another hour or so of flying, we touched down in Philly, and as we all departed the flight... After another hour or so of flying, we touched down in Philly, and as we all departed the flight, pretty much every single passenger thanked the flight attendants for their professionalism and service. It was crazy how such an experience had created such a tight bond between all of us in such a relatively short space of time. I mean, some people were even hugging the flight attendants as they departed. Some had tears of relief in their eyes. Some were laughing and high-fiving each other, even making jokes about it being the most expensive roller coaster they'd ever been on, and how Six Flags was going to suck after this. I admit, I laughed hard at that last... Sorry. I admit, I laughed hard at that last one. Not because it was particularly funny or true, but just as like a release of tension. I'm serious when I said I'd come to terms with my own death, how it was the most painful and soul-crushing feeling I'd ever felt, but I'd still come to terms with it. And I can't even describe the new lease on life coming out of that mood that it gave me. Even today, I'm still a slightly different person than I was when I got on that flight. I'm much more positive. I make the most of the free time I have. I live every single day to the utmost. But one thing hasn't changed about me. Something that will never change no matter what happens. I still hate flying. Wilcox Productions with a 10. Thank you, Wilcox. Appreciate that. Flying through the air. I'm always curious what that like character is that YouTube has as like the emoji thing. It just looks like a pear. I think that's a pear. Shout out to pears. I dry hump the pilot, yeah. Oh, nice. Well, okay, the pilot from Patreon. Okay, well, this is perfect then. This is right along what you were looking for. It's good to see you. Immortal. I'm sorry. Throwing out the shej. Chris plays. Yeah, whatever you'd like. No worries. It's a pair. Shout out to pairs. All right, so we're on story numero 40. You hate planes. Yeah, it's not the greatest feeling, but I remember hearing stories about during Hurricane Maria going down to Puerto Rico. You know, and just how people had to kind of get down there, like they were going from Florida down to Puerto Rico. And like they were, I don't know why, but they were like piling people onto each other, and some poor person had to like sit on somebody's lap the whole time, and they said just the turbulence and how they weren't like strapped in was just insane, but they survived the flight, I guess, you know what I mean? But I mean, that would be the scariest shit, just being in like a really intense feeling the entire time. You don't do subs, but I do them. What if that's what subscribers meant? Please subscribe. Please submit. I work as an air traffic controller over at Sky Harbor International in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a career I dreamed of ever since I was a kid, and my dad used to take me to the exact same airport I work at now to watch the planes roar over our car before landing on the runway. I wanted to be a pilot at first. Flying those things would have been the coolest thing ever, but I didn't have the 20/20 vision required to be one. It was heartbreaking at first, but my dad, being the wonderful father that he was, reassured me that there was more than just one career for a plane-obsessed kid like me. So, I worked hard in school, got into college, worked even harder there, then many years later landed a job working my beloved aircraft as an aircraft controller. My name on Insta is at letsread.official. So, or just letsread.official. Kind of wish I just could have had like Let's Read, or honestly from the very beginning I kind of wish I didn't name myself Let's Read. So, I worked hard in school, got into college, worked even harder there, then many years later landed a job working my beloved aircraft as an air traffic controller. What I'm about to tell you is the story of an incident which occurred in July of 1997, when I was still relatively young and inexperienced. In order to make the tale more understandable to the layman, I will try to avoid as much technical aviation jargon as possible and keep the narrative clear and concise as to not bore the pants off of you all. But please understand, this is something neither myself nor my colleagues have ever been able to fully explain, so if it seems like there's a lot of holes in the story, that's because there are, for me, as well as for you. So I'm sitting in the air traffic control tower one night, fighting off the fatigue with cups of strong black coffee. I think I used to drink about 7 or 8 cups some nights, just one after the other on occasion when the tiredness began to really take hold. One of the things that majorly sucks about starring off into that... Oops. Also, Jessica Simmons, thank you for becoming a full-grown pizza and a member of the Buttersock Cult. It didn't give me the notification, so maybe it just popped up there, but thank you, Jessica. And everybody say hello. Hannah wants her pants bored off. Gonna bore very deep. Sorry. One of the things that majorly sucks about starting off in that particular profession is that you basically have no choice but to be on night shifts for months and months at a time. Since air traffic is generally slower at night, it gives new employees a chance to really get used to the whole routine of guiding an aircraft. That is until they've experienced and... That is until they're experienced and confident enough to take day shifts when things can get much more intense with holding patterns, basically a cue to land that happen to be about 20,000 feet up, and multiple simultaneous landings. People's lives are at risk in a job like this, and it's kind of scary how much power is put into the hands of just individual men and women. Anyone who's seen the whole Breaking Bad will... Anyone who's seen the whole of Breaking Bad will know that we can cause or prevent the most wanton acts of destruction ever seen by human eyes, and I'm sure you won't be surprised when I tell you that we undergo regular fitness and psych evaluations to ensure that we're all at our best while performing our jobs. But anyway, one night I'm sitting there with my supervisor on break when I get a blip on the radar console in front of me. Usually when this happens, you see the little blip pop up on your screen, along with a little label that basically gives you the first flight number, and thus all the information on where the aircraft has come from, its size and model, stuff like that. Only instead of saying AZ-104B, this thing has like XAX000X001. That's not exactly how it is, but it'll give you an idea of how unusual it was and how I immediately recognized that something was very different about this approaching aircraft. So I do my usual thing of tuning my radio set onto the frequency that I suspect the approaching aircraft will hear me on, then just about throw the headset off myself when this horrendous, high-pitched whine, only a few pitches lower from making my ears bleed. I immediately tune out and ask one of my available colleagues if they are picking up the tiny tinny sound on the same channel. They check, get the same thing, just about throwing their headset off with a yelp before telling me something must be up with the aircraft's communication system to try to talk over it and guide them in regardless. If we didn't, there might be an accident, and in air traffic control, 1 or 2 little slip-ups could mean hundreds, maybe even thousands of deaths. So as a dumb trainee, I start doing as I'm told, running through the usual protocol and giving them their range and direction to the nearest available runway. Only there's absolutely nothing coming from the aircraft, in fact. The only thing that Oh, that sounded weird, sorry. Immortal's gonna sub to me. Thank you. Always could use more subscribers. Only there's absolutely nothing coming from the aircraft. In fact, the only thing that I can hear over the metallic screeching is a slight change in the pitch and tone of the whining noise, with the occasional metallic clicking sound being heard throughout the general din. That's about the time that I realized that whatever is out there in the sky isn't moving at a steady speed. It's moving and stopping over and over again, or at least that's the picture I was building up from watching it on the radar. There are no aircraft that I was aware of at that time that was capable of doing that, and I found myself peering out of the tower in the direction it was, trying to catch a glimpse of the aircraft's lights. Only there were none. It was like there was nothing there at all, just empty sky where flashing lights should have been. Ours isn't the kind of profession you can just ask for help with either. With the skeleton crew, that means the towers at night. Sorry, that sounded weird. Hey, Robin, thank you, my friend. Robin does all the amazing visuals on the channel and has completed the thumbnail for this video, so I'm pretty stoked about that. It's always better with Robin, yeah. Yeah. Ours isn't the kind of profession you can just ask for help with either. With the skeleton crew, that means the towers at night. It's not like everyone else isn't busy with their own thing. I certainly couldn't ask the colleague I had previously. Besides, I was determined to prove myself as being worthy of such a position. Then something truly bizarre occurs. The aircraft starts moving laterally, as in to the side. Either it was some kind of military fighter embarking on some kind of emergency maneuver, a helicopter, or something else entirely. And it does so at alarming speeds, like my closest estimation is that it moved at over 1,000 miles per hour, which would have generated some kind of sonic boom. Only it didn't, which honestly is something that confuses and scares me even today. The blip disappeared from the radar shortly after, and I was forced to focus on another incoming aircraft that was as regularly labeled as any other. I didn't bring the incident up with anyone. I didn't want them to think that I was crazy or that the night shifts were affecting me too much. I did file a report Oops. The skeleton crew that mans the tower at night. Oh, okay. I don't quite understand what you're saying, my friend. I didn't bring it up. I did file. Okay, sorry. I did file a report, however, but nothing came of it. It was simply filed away and forgotten about. But I've never forgotten about it in all my years as an air traffic controller. It's something that's never been repeated. I'm not saying it was a UFO or anything like that. I don't really believe in that sort of thing. Never have, never will. But it is firmly filed under unexplained, and quite frankly, I'd do anything to find out exactly what it was. Be it an advanced military craft, a radar glitch, or something else entirely. You said that the skeleton crew means the tower at night. There was a typo in the story. Oh, fuck. How far back is that? Oh shit. Shitty shit. Ball shit and fart shit fart. Okay. I'll just, yeah. Thank you for letting me know, and I'm going to read that again. Ours isn't the kind of profession you can just ask for help with either. With the skeleton crew that mans the towers at night, it's not like everyone else isn't busy with their own thing. I certainly couldn't ask the colleague I had previously. Besides, I was determined to prove myself as being worthy of such a position. And then something truly bizarre occurs. The aircraft starts moving laterally as into the side. God damn it. Then something truly bizarre occurs. The aircraft starts moving laterally, as in to the side. Either it was some kind of military fighter embarking on some kind of emergency maneuver, a helicopter, or something else entirely. And it does so at alarming speeds. Like my closest estimation is that it moved at over 1,000 miles per hour, which would have generated some kind of sonic boom. Only it didn't, which honestly is something that confuses me and scares me even today. The blip disappeared from the radar shortly after, and I was forced to focus on another incoming aircraft that was as regularly labeled as any other. I didn't bring the incident up with anyone. I didn't want them to think that I was crazy or that the night shift was affecting me too much. I did file a report, however, but nothing came of it. It was simply filed away and forgotten about. But I've never forgotten about it, and in all my years as an air traffic controller, it's something that's never been repeated. I'm not saying it was a UFO or anything like that. I don't believe in that sort of thing. Never have, never will. But it is firmly filed under unexplained. And quite frankly, I'd do anything to find out exactly what it was. Be it an advanced military craft, a radar glitch, or something else entirely. Let me let my cat out real quick. He's rubbing against me. He's doing his rubs. Oh. he was doing his rubs like he wanted out. That's usually his indication. Oh, no worries, Hobo. You're good. We got through it. Yeah, Pradeep was rubbing on me to say I want out. But then I go to turn around and he immediately jumps up on the bed and falls over like he's trying to look cute or something. So I rubbed his belly and now he's fell asleep. Hey, welcome. First time joining? Well, it's good to see you. Cuttlefish. Do they serve cuttlefish on an airplane? Wonder what the nicest... Have you guys ever been on a really nice airplane flight? Because I got lucky one time and got upgraded to a first class scenario. And it was only 2 hours. I mean, it was a 2-hour flight, which is pretty decent length, And it was just so funny because we got these big recliner seats. You get an actual meal, and a hot towel. And what's so funny is that you're only 3 inches away from the typical coach area, and they get to sit there and watch you live in luxury. But yeah, no, I of course normally wouldn't even waste my money on a first class thing because it's not that much great, But I just got lucky because I don't know, they upgraded me for some reason, and it was fucking cool. And they give you a nice Asian massage. What kind of cat is he? He's just a black cat with 7 white hairs on his chest, lucky ones. What's the deal with airplane food? Oh my god. Honest question, is Jerry Seinfeld actually funny? Because how the hell did he get to be a goddamn billionaire? Because watching him on Comedians in Cars Getting Comedy, and I'm just I like the show, it's a pleasant show, but the whole time I'm just Jesus Christ, Jerry is so, he's listening to your annoying dad talk, you know what I mean? Not saying my dad's annoying, but just a dorky dad saying he everything he comments on is just so meta. And he's that would make a good, that would make some good comedy right there. Or I remember he went to some, basically a Kmart. And it was as if though him going into Kmart, I don't even know, him going into the Kmart was so just everything was so baffling to him. People actually buy these tasty cakes? 25 for a barrel of them? Oh my god. That's and I don't know, just making these off-kilter comments to people going by, you're gonna need one of those, or so, I don't know. It was just really weird, as if though he was fraternizing with peasants. But I'm Jerry, what did you do other than ride on the back of Larry David or anything like that? But he just seemed like when you watch him on the show, he seems like a nice guy, but he also seems wildly disconnected from the average person, which I guess makes sense whenever you are a billionaire. You didn't get an Asian massage when you I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so story numero 40. A few years back, I was taking part in a college exchange for 6 months, where myself and a Japanese student swapped places to get a taste of life in each country. It was honestly one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Japan is really weird by Western standards, but it's also full of some of the most wonderful, gracious people I'd ever met in my life. The way they think about life, even down to some minute details, is as fascinating as it is thoughtful, and going over there changed my life for the better. But something happened on the flight home from Japan, and although it didn't mar the experience entirely for me, it left a huge black stain on what should have been a very fond memory. The flight home was a long one, a really long one, like 9.5 hours, followed by another 10-hour flight. It's not easy being sat there in the same seat for that long at a time. I'm sure some of you know that. It feels claustrophobic, constrictive, and the fact that you can never really relax is just horrible. I suppose that's why people pop pills or plow through those mini liquor bottles just to gain some semblance of relaxation. So I'm in the middle of the second flight, 8 to 9 hour one that's going from Southern California to my hometown of Newark. I'd worked my way through most of the in-flight movies, and I'm sort of half watching this dumb sci-fi thing with Tom Cruise when I hear something over my headphones. I slide from off of my head to hear a woman, a few rows ahead of me, getting all panicky in a foreign language. I'm no expert, but I'm almost certain it was Chinese, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, she's clearly very frightened or upset about something, and keeps hammering on the little button above her head that someone's a flight attendant. A flight attendant comes by, trying to stay as calm as possible, but obviously can't understand what the woman is saying because of the language barrier. It takes a moment for the woman to find some medium of communication, and I watch as the flight attendant kind of leans into the middle seats for a moment before jolting back up and rushing off down the aisle with this look of horror on her face. Moments later, she emerges, calling out something that I'd only ever heard in movies up until that point. "Is there a doctor on the plane? Are there any medical professionals on the flight?" That's when I knew the situation was actually serious, that it wasn't just some poor Asian lady having a panic attack or something. The look on the attendant's face had told me enough, but this just made everything concrete. Something terrible had happened in those middle seats. Eventually, the flight attendant emerges from the business class section of the plane with a professional-looking man in a polo shirt, white hair, and glasses. This was obviously an English-speaking doctor she'd managed to find. He does the same thing the flight attendant did at first, leans in to obviously give the man a brief... Oh, wait. But the authority with which he spoke, it was, wait, I'm confused. The man? Is it a lady that's freaking out, or the man? She's clearly frightened and very upset about something and keeps hammering it. The flight attendant comes... I guess we'll just... I don't know. I get confused sometimes with, like, if people make one mistake and it's, like, about a person's, like, it's about the pronoun of who they are. I'm just like, wait, what? Stevie, I don't know why it's, like, not giving me notifications on, like, I'm going to test this one. I'm going to test a...
Full-grown pizza.
Okay, so I tested it works, but maybe these are like old ones if you've already did them and like it's not telling me that they're like re-upped or something. I don't know. Are you guys like new? But either way, thank you for becoming a full-grown pizza and a member of the Buttersock Call. Thank you, Stevie, so much. Appreciate that. If I randomly puked midstream. I mean, I would hope not. I don't know why I would. Unless I'm like out at sea right now. Yeah, maybe there's two people freaking out? I have no fucking idea. I don't know what the fuck's going on. He looked around for the biggest, strongest... Wait, what? I don't fucking know what's being said right now in this story. I'm just gonna keep reading. This was obviously an English-speaking doctor she'd managed to find. He does the same thing the flight attendant did at first, leans in to obviously give the person a brief examination before suddenly bursting into action. He looks around for the biggest, strongest men he can find, then doesn't so much ask them for help as tells them to help. I know that might come across as him being rude, but the authority with which he spoke, it was powerful. No one questioned him. They just got up to help, like it was their duty. People are amazing when it comes to an emergency like that. The bigger guys start working on lifting someone out of their seat, pulling them from the middle row and carrying them towards the back of the plane. I got a glimpse at the person as they passed. An elderly-looking Asian man, and he was as pale as a ghost, completely unresponsive by the looks of things, too. I looked back to see the doctor performing CPR on the guy after they laid him down, working on chest compressions, blowing it into his open mouth. That was distressing enough, but one of the big dudes starts saying things like, "Come on, buddy. Come back to us. Open your eyes, man." You could hear the distress in his voice when it sank in that guy was dead, that he had no pulse and was not coming back at all. Some of the passengers were crying, others praying. It was one of the most intense situations I'd ever been in my entire life. So it's at this point that I look back to see that the flight attendants had produced some kind of body bag from somewhere on the plane. I didn't even know that they had those kinds. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Ooka, ah. Holy shizzers. $100. 100 maple syrup bucks from Amanda. It says, boop your kitty's nose. Where is he at? I'm gonna boop him right now. Oh wow, I booped him. He actually did not react at all. That's pretty funny, actually. Normally, if I give him like any attention, it like engages the, oh, it's time? It's time for me to beg for more attention after you've given it to me like ever so slightly. But he must have gone into dream zone after one belly scratch. But thank you so much, Amanda, for the 100 maple syrup dollars. I really appreciate that. Holy hell. Yeah, my booty is getting extra work today. I know, a plain body bag. I've never heard of that before, honestly. I don't know if you guys anybody ever seen someone die on a plane and they got to get the body bag out? Thank you again. Thank you. So it's at this point that I look back to see the flight attendants had produced some kind of body bag from somewhere on the plane. I didn't even know they had those things on board. I mean, it was exactly the kind of thing you normally see in some Vietnam movie, this big plastic-looking bag with a zipper running up the middle. The doctor and the bigger guys help put the man inside before zipping it up, while some of the flight attendants start reshuffling people for some reason. They move everyone behind me further up the plane, actually asking a few if they'd like impromptu business class and first class upgrades. But no one asked me, so in the end, it's me with a row of window seats to myself, with 2 free rows behind me, and then it's the back of the plane. Sorry. I was in my head as I was reading that. I was just thinking like they're doing that to like essentially keep people from being like annoyed or like what the fuck, but I was just thinking how, I mean, this isn't funny, but like I guess at the same time it is in my head because I'm disturbed. But I was just thinking like you're sitting there like, all right, and they like sit the body bag up in like a seat like next to you, like not even near her wife, but just like next to you of all people, like, sir, we're gonna have this is the dead body row. We're gonna have to keep this here. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. We'll get you some more peanuts. And like but he's like got the outside row or something like that. So you just like are like stuck in the middle row between like some guy who's like farting and like sneezing and like a dead body. It's just like, and you're just eating your peanuts. Then you gotta like pee, or no, it's like the fat guy's gotta like pee. He's like, oh, excuse me, and like farts as he goes by, but then like accidentally like knocks the body's like shoulder like or like head like into your shoulder or something. And then you like look down at the bottom of the bag and it's like there's like fluid dripping. You're like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is going on? Sir, this is the dead body row. I'm sorry, this is not funny, but I just can't. I just think of like a curb your enthusiasm type scenario. Oh my god, my butt! Oof, 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 ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ooh. This is the body bag twerking right now. Like, everybody's just dancing. Jessica with the 30 says, "Now you must love me." Twerk and newt face pic. You almost got me. If I would have read it, I would have been forced to hand out a nudie pic to the whole internet. I guess on Twitter, you can do that on Twitter, can't you? Like post naked shit. Not saying that I would, but I mean, it's good to know that I have the option. You know what I mean? You try to peek in the bag, like unzip it, and like the whole while, like the wife is just like staring back at you, like pissed for some reason. But thank you for the 30. I really appreciate that. Chair dancing becomes you. Oh my god. Yeah, there's like turbulence and it's like, and you like can't control it because he's like really heavy. He's just like leaning on you. Oh my god. But then like the zipper comes unzipped a little bit and you can like see his eyeball like peeking through. Okay, anyways, I feel like I need to stop. But I also probably won't, I'm sorry. But no one asked me. So in the end, it's me with a row of window seats to myself, with 2 free rows behind me, and then it's the back of the plane. I really should have seen it coming and asked the attendants to move me too, but the whole thing was so intense, and everyone had so much to deal with that I decided it would be better to just not make a fuss. But like I said, when it dawned on me what was about to happen, I really wish I hadn't been so reasonable about the whole thing. Because suddenly the guys are... Because suddenly the guys are lifting the armrests on the second row behind me, leaning the seats back a little before hoisting the poor man's dead body up and lying it over the seats. I can't even describe how incredibly uneasy the whole thing made me. There was no smell. I mean, the body was fresh, but just the idea that maybe less than 2 or 3 meters behind me laid the body of a dead man. If it was impossible to relax before, it was now impossible to keep myself from feeling incredibly anxious. I tried to ignore it, but as you can imagine, that's just impossible. I found myself looking back between the seats every so often, just peering back at the shining material and just knowing that that poor guy inside was just without a pulse. It was horrific. On the way off, a flight attendant took my name down and told me that I'd be entitled to money. Jesus Christ. Sir, you'll get $5 off your next flight for dealing with a dead body. On the way off, a flight attendant took my name down and told me that I'd be entitled to money off of my next flight for being so incredibly nice and quiet about the whole thing, that it hardly ever happened, and that they were so sorry that it had to be me that the body was sat nearest to. It was the least they could have done, but honestly, I don't feel like I want to ever fly again. Not for a long, long time to come. Yeah. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know if that body can fit in the undercarriage of your seat. We're going to have to throw it out the window. The dead body discount. Oh, yeah, it must be American Airlines. It's Spirit. Spirit Airlines is where that happened, probably. He, choked on one of his free pretzels. Boo! Ghosts on a plane. Get these motherfucking ghosts off this motherfucking plane. Okay, so this next one, story number 5. Rest in peace to that guy on the plane. I'm sorry for turning you into a joke. It's a slow night at the Sarasota Bradington. I'm just gonna look it up. Maybe somebody said it in the YouTube video somewhere. I can't fit in overhead storage. Jesus Christ. Sarasota. Bradenton sounds more right. I don't know. Anybody from Florida? He's gonna haunt Joel now. I know. I would not be surprised at this point. I'm gonna have dreams. Holy shit. Zippy dude. Zippy da. Holy hell. Stevie with the $50 donation and a whoa. Slowly unbuttoning my shirt. Bow chicka bow, bow chicka bow. Holy shit, guys! Where'd the fuck did these come from out of nowhere? Stevie with the 50, and with a little bit of a kissy kiss. Thank you, Stevie, for the 50. At first, the emoji, since it's like red on red, I thought that the kissy lips was actually a hot dog, like a hot dog bun. So I was like, thanks for the hot dog. But no, thank you for the $50 donation. And Amanda from Canada with the 100. Holy shit. You guys are just piling this on right now. Thank you so much. Says, I gotta go, but it's been great. Some of this moolah goes towards cat treats. Ciao. It definitely will. Also, do you guys have any suggestions for treats for Pradeep? Because I've always been curious, because sometimes he has a bit of a diarrheal reaction to certain things, and holy cow, 2 massive donos out of nowhere. Thank you guys so much for that. I appreciate that. And Amanda, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Jeeshish Louisish. Kiss the hot dog. Oh yeah. I'm gonna shove that. Wait, what do they call it? Isn't it like, there's a new meme? My buddies, like kids, had to like tell me about it, which makes me sound like such a boomer, but I like to pride myself that I'm like up to date with all the bullshit. What do they call it? Like a glizzy gobbler? Or like if you have a hot dog and you're like eating the hot dog, you have to eat it in private. Otherwise, if someone sees it, you're like a glizzy gobbler or something like that. Or the hot dog is called a glizzy. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Oh yeah, I wish you could send pics on here. That'd be sweet. Because I know some people, I thought you could like send GIFs and stuff like that, or choose a GIF. There was a funny meme where it was like people who pronounce GIFs as with a J, like GIFs, and meeting God when they get to the pearly gates and calling him Jod, and then it's just like them being like thrown down to hell using like the, I don't know if you ever seen Spawn, when he gets like thrown into hell, he's going through like a fire portal, like whoa. Hey Jod, how are you? Hobo says, I read a news story today about how United Airlines accidentally left a blind woman locked in an empty plane. They said they'd help her get off of the plane, but then they forgot. Holy shit. Yeah, after I love airline, the what do they call, like the flight attendants, I think they're fun, they're good people, but at the same time they actually remind me a lot of the people that I worked with in the medical field to a degree, and I would not be surprised if that's like something that would slip people's mind, because I've seen some pretty dumb mistakes in like the medical field as well. I mean, we're all like susceptible to that, but Jesus Christ, they like just like sitting on the shitter like, hello? 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 Anybody there? Yeah, next person to type in the chat is a glizzy gobbler. Don't do it. Oh, that's Steve. Steve's a glizzy gobbler. I literally do not fucking understand like memes, like where they come from, but I love it because it's just like a hive mind, And usually memes are usually like, you can't force them, you know? But it makes sense why they're like popular, you know what I mean? Because it's just like everyone's kind of has to like universally agree whether it's like of value, otherwise it like naturally dies, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is what the free market intended right here, baby. Gave you meals on flights. Honestly, no. I was saying, like, first class, you like got your lobster or whatever the fuck. We didn't get lobster, but like I said, I got upgraded to that, but for free, so that was nice. But to actually get like some like shitty fruit and stuff, it felt good, and like a hot towel, which I just ended up taking like a shower with the hot towel in front of everyone. I was like, well, I'm in first class, I can do what I want now. I don't know if you remember, like, whenever, like, Bloomberg, you know what I mean? Like, he was, there's different, like, meme channels, or not meme channel, but meme pages on Instagram that were, like, getting sponsored to, like, post some Bloomberg memes, and I was like, holy shit, this is, like, the definition of, like, trying to force a meme down people's throats. And, it was so silly. Ivana says, hey, how are you? How come you started streaming early? Oh, well, I just, you know, I figured instead of waiting around for the gym and stuff like that, I figured I was up and at 'em, figured I'd get to it, you know. Which, speaking of which, I kind of have to, like, not to hurry through these, but it's almost 6, and I usually get there by, like, 6:30 because it closes at, like, 8, so I may have to be a little bit efficient with these, my friends. It is a slow night at the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport in Florida. The night team are used to quiet nights, but this one is particularly subdued, with not a single traveler walking the terminals or lounges. Staff manning baggage claims or rental car company desks are bored out of their minds, making small talk while they catch up on what little work there was to complete. It's a Thursday morning around 3 a.m., with it being the 19th of December. The place is abuzz with festive cheer, albeit slightly muted by the time of night. Staff will no doubt have been discussing holiday plans, looking forward to spending time with their families after being, on such a grueling schedule of night shifts. But meanwhile, something is speeding towards them. Something reckless and wanton. How the fuck do you say this word, wanton? I'll just say reckless. We'll get to it later. But meanwhile, something is speeding towards them. Something reckless that'll put their lives in extreme danger. The staff manning the National Car Rental and Alamo Rental Car Company desks are completely unaware of what is about to happen. There are no warnings. They see nothing coming at them. There is only the faint rush of noise from outside the building to indicate anything is about to happen at all. They are completely unprepared to protect themselves from the impending danger. Then in one horrifying moment, a huge white General Motors pickup truck slams through the exterior wall of the terminal like a bullet from a gun, destroying the wall completely and sending a shower of wood and plastic debris into the interior of the building. It was traveling with such speed that the impact with the wall barely even slowed it down, and it continued to hurtle towards the rental car desks at terrifyingly high speeds, as the staff manning it jumped from their seats and rushed to safety. Luckily for them, their desk station was built incredibly sturdily and withstood the impact of the truck thanks to its hardiness and the slightly slowed speed of the truck. But there's no doubt that the lives of the staff manning it flashed before their eyes for a moment before the truck thankfully came to a complete stop. The truck, which had been traveling on Florida's nearby U.S. Highway 41, reportedly left the road and crashed through the airport's perimeter fence, then crossed part of the tarmac before plowing through a cinder block wall and entered the baggage claim area, where it eventually stopped upon hitting the desk of a rental car service. Incredibly, only the driver was injured in the chaos. By some stroke of incredible fortune, no one was stood at the desk in hopes of renting a car, as if they had been there. Or Robert, it's not spineless whenever you ask permission for the authors or people send them in, you know what I mean? That's how the channel works, is it's community driven. So, I mean, you could really say that about anything in which borrows content or information from other places. Especially whenever you get permission for them, you're good to go, my friend. So, hey, there's Shannon. All Jill do is sit around, eat cookies, and post Harambe memes. This is very true. Where it eventually stopped upon hitting the desk of a rental car service. Incredibly, only the driver was injured in the chaos. By some stroke of incredible fortune, no one was stood at the desk in hope of renting a car, as if they had been. That's all good. No, I guess, like, I understand the concept of where Robert would, in sort of a hater, in sort of a hater's sense, where, you know, in the same way that, like, back when I was, like, angry at PewDiePie, like, I'm like, all fucking PewDiePie does is scream and scream, and he doesn't even make the video games, and, you know, he just does it. But I mean, like, I feel like to a degree, it's like what I'm presenting is, I'm presenting my voice, I'm presenting my storytelling ability, I edit, the production value that goes into the streams, things like that. Like, obviously it's not something that's like wildly involved, like, some major news network or anything of that sort, or not even that, like a major, movie production of something. But the fact that it's all played out appropriately, you know what I mean, as far as getting permission from the authors. Most literally, it's not like authors are like begrudgingly saying like, oh, all right, fine, you've done it, you can have my story, I suppose. Like literally the people are excited to hear their stories. People are excited to hear their stories. So whenever you come at it from a place of like saying that I ride off the backs of others, it's just factually wrong. But at the same time, I understand your premise, but I disagree with it, my friend. Also, Bras, what are you doing? It says, I'm presenting my huge dong. Let's read. 2020. Hell yeah, dude. Nobody remembers my huge dong. You know what I mean? Like, that should pretty much usurp all other aspects of entertainment. Something you guys don't, everyone's always asking for a face reveal, but nobody ever thinks about like a wiener reveal. Where it eventually stopped upon hitting the desk of a rental car service. Incredibly, the only driver... Okay. Incredibly, only the driver was injured in the chaos. By some stroke of incredible fortune, no one was stood at the desk in hopes of renting a car, as if they had been. There is no... Oh, okay. So, like, setting up a premise there. By some stroke of incredible fortune, no one was stood at the desk in hope of renting a car. As if they had been, there is no doubt that they'd be pinned between it and the truck, suffering horrific abdominal injuries in the process. We actually had a late flight, but no one else was here in the baggage claim area except a couple of workers, said Frederick J. Pacalo. It's Italiano. I gotta pronounce it like Italiano. That's true, Jessica. You did ask for... Well, you didn't ask for nudes because you switched to face last second, so you know them rules. We actually had a late flight, but no one else was here in the baggage claim area except a couple of workers, said Frederick J. Pacalo, and the president and CEO of the airport. If this happened during the day, it would have been a much different story. The driver, Juan Macivas, was later transported to hospital, but the crash caused major damage in the baggage claim area to conveyor belts, the ceiling, windows, doors, and the walls, totaling around $250,000 in damages. Prior to the airport crash, Mosivas was seen driving recklessly on U.S. Route 41, according to a Florida Highway Patrol release. The cause of the crash was unknown at the time, but incredibly, alcohol did not seem to be a factor. The cause of the crash was unknown at the time, but incredibly, alcohol did not seem to be a factor, according to a press release from Florida Highway Patrol. But further research showed that Mr. Monsivas had been charged with a number of DUIs in the past, as well as for driving on a suspended or expired license. It's a miracle that no one was hurt, but that doesn't take away from the fact that, for a few moments, in the wee small hours of December 19th, absolute terror struck the airport's occupants. You hear purring? How do you hear purring? Oh, maybe it's in the song, because it does kind of have like a... Because I was going to say Pradeep is laying at my feet, but unless the idea of his purring is translating through my feet up into through my mouth. Maybe. The body's just all vibrations, man. Turn off the fan. Is that what you hear? Is the fan loud? It's like real, because the fan's like really quiet, and I like turned down the Here, wait, we're gonna do a test quick. Okay, so I paused the music. I think it's the song, honestly, guys. That's my butt purring, yeah. It should be the music, but I don't know if let me know if because what I try to do is use the hardware that I have to like minimize any background noise, but the music is also there aside from setting the mood to like drown out that. Turn off the OnlyFans. It's me farting. Butter in your socks. Yeah, it's just like scratching around. 2 more stories to go here, my friends. Me friendos. Can I do some gay erotica when you do the sexy stories? I will consider it. If you stop talking, I can hear a quiet fan, but not while narrating. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least it's not that, like, noticeable and stuff like that. You want to hear Pradeep purr? I don't know if he would, honestly, if I picked him up and... It's my friends. They're purring next to me. Wait. Paranoia Princess. Oh, I can hear it. I generally have my phone set to max, or I can't hear you over my AC unit, and my phone has 2 modes. I can hear it and way too loud. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't feel like enough people are noticing like a disturbance as far as noise goes. You know what I can do? Just out of curiosity again, for technical purposes, I can actually monitor... Shit. Can I monitor? The sound, the audio input capture. Oh, yeah, there it is, huh? What if I... It's like ever so... Look, there it's gone. But I'm quiet now. Am I too quiet now, do you think? Okay. There we go. I think we actually got rid of it. Does it sound better now, or am I just like... I don't think I should be too quiet now, right? I know I was echoing. But that's because I turn on my monitor to like hear the monitoring. No, I know. That's I did that so I could hear the background noise, but then from that point I can adjust my hardware like knobs to then decrease what it's picking up in the background, but I think my voice is still good. I just want to make sure I get this perfecto. Because obviously sound like who's Lord Huron? Huron. Let Pradeep read. You sound nice and sexy. Talk to us, Joseph. Thanks. I just, for anybody who had commented whether or not the... Alright, we're moving on. Anyways. What am I fucking... I want the, it sounds much better. Cool. That's all, literally all I needed to hear was just like one positive thing. We can move on. My name is Joel. I could be a great sugar daddy. It's a possibility. Inspector Gadget, I barely know her. Oh. Well, it was like as soon as I started, someone was like, turn it up. And then I did, and I knew for a fact if I turned it up, the fan was going to get like picked up on, you know what I mean, as far as the background noise. But as long as you can hear me now, that's all that fucking matters. Thanks, Hannah. It's like trying to encourage your like son. Like, you're doing great, sweetie. And I'm like covered in pee. Sucker Punch with the 10 says, oh good, I caught your live. What story are you on? Also, hope your day was good. Thank you, Sucker Punch. We are on story 6. And it's a pretty long one, and I think it's also documentary style. Alrighty. Whose pee? I know, whose pee is on me right now? Is it yours, maybe? Okay, so Steven Sylvester. Alright, so does this cat want out? No, he doesn't want out. Steven Sylvester and Pardeep Sang. How do you say this last name? It's like Sangha. Sangha?
Sangha.
Sangha? Okay, that's fair. He has the same name as my cat, kind of, even though my cat's name is Purdeep. This guy's name is Pardeep. It was my booty binky. It was making a lot of vibrational noise. Steven Sylvester and Pardeep Sangha. Well, how the fuck do you say that? God damn, I like just heard it 3 seconds ago.
Sangha.
Sangha. It's like manga. I'm reading a sangha. Steven Sylvester and Pardeep Sangha were two men who were very familiar with airports and air travel. Each worked long days as taxi drivers, ferry travelers via the exact same routes to and from Heathrow Airport in London. Is it Heathrow? Jesus baloney pants. My gym opens in 20 minutes. I know. I don't think I'll have to cut this short, but it's like I kind of just have to like move. I just need to figure this one's a long one though. Heathrow. I don't know. Heathrow. Oh, Heathrow. Okay, cool. Thank you. Each door long. Jeez, I just spoke like alien briefly there. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Each worked long days as taxi drivers, ferry travelers via the exact same routes to and from Heathrow Airport in London during the early 1980s. Whether the two men actually knew each other is unknown, but there is no doubt that they must have crossed paths at some point. However, there is no doubt that the two drivers have something in common. and not something that will have brought the pair closer together. Both men were murdered in separate attacks within 6 months of each other, each stabbed to death in cases that remain unsolved to this day. Here we will examine the facts of both incidences and see if we can Here we will examine the facts of both full-grown pizza. Oh, now it comes through. Jessica Simmons. That's like super delayed. Sorry about that. Here we will examine the facts of both incidents and see if we can't come to our own conclusions regarding their tragic, untimely deaths. Stephen Sylvester was 39 years old when he died and was working as a minicab driver for a company called Skyway Minicabs, which was located on Kingsley Road on Hounslow Underground Station, just 4 miles from Heathrow Airport. Stephen tended to work the night shift, and in the wee small hours of the 17th of November 1983, he drove back to the company offices after driving a passenger from the airport near Feltham. Fuck, there's all these fucking British places, and I always have to look up how the fuck to say everything. It's not a big deal at all, but it's mildly inconvenient. Why does Wikipedia not just have a pronunciation bullshit? Feltham. Pronouns. And then why is everything that's, you should be banned from YouTube if you put up a pronunciation video and it's fucking wrong and it's a robot. Feltham. Oh my god. You should be banned and beheaded on YouTube. I'm just kidding. But why do they let robots pronounce stuff on their YouTube videos when they know it's utterly false? It's should be a crime against humanity. He drove back to the company's offices after driving a passenger from the airport to nearby Feltham. Around 2:30 in the morning, a dispatcher and other drivers returned home to get some rest, leaving Stephen alone to work his shift. At some point over the next hour, police reports state that Stephen will have left the office, presumably to pick up another fare. Whether or not he responded to an actual phone call or someone visited the office is unclear, but we do know that this is the last fare Stephen would take before he was murdered. I can think of a few reasons why a taxi driver would get into the back seat of his own vehicle. What? Sorry. Mia Mina has become a full-grown pizza and a member of the Buttersock cult. If you guys find a sick-ass pronunciation website that I can reliably go to, I know dictionary.com and things like that, or that you just type it into Google and hope you find something, but the fact that you type into Google how to pronounce something and then there's all these YouTube videos that are uploaded and utilizing a robot's voice, and you have to have to check the and you have to check the like to dislike ratio on whether or not it's even close to being correct is so silly to me. Is Jesus here? Has Jesus arrived in the chat? I haven't seen him in a while, and I haven't seen the devil in a while either. Yeah, are mildly infuriating, I know. That's pretty much it. My first world problems. Oh, there's Jesus. That episode of Family Guy where he says Jesus rose from the dead and ate the living. It's pretty funny. I can think of a few reasons why a taxi driver would get into the back seat of his own vehicle, but for whatever reason, that's exactly what Stephen did. And when he did, a bloody struggle ensued. I don't know what they were trying to... Because it seems like they're affirming the negative in that statement. You know what I mean? It's confusing, as if they're on board with it, but then they're saying him being in the backseat is weird. I can only think of a few reasons why a taxi driver would get into the backseat of his own vehicle, but for whatever reason, that's exactly what Stephen did. And when he did, a bloody struggle ensued that ended with the driver being stabbed multiple times until the life left his body. His murderer then proceeded to pull his body from the back seat before placing it in the trunk of the car and driving to the airport and abandoning the vehicle in the short stay parking lot at Terminal 3 sometime around 4 o'clock that same morning. But at the time, only the ground floor of the short stay parking lot is accessible and is mostly used by night shift workers employed by the airport itself. Whether or not the killer was one of these employees or simply used it to escape justice by flying out of the country is another unknown in this case. But the fact of the matter remains that this was not a place to leave the vehicle and body if the killer wished it to be undiscovered. Regular checks are performed in this type of parking lot to ensure the right tickets and charges have been incurred. Drivers in violation of the parking rules are subjected to fines before the vehicle is quickly towed away. So it's clear that whoever murdered Stephen then placed his body somewhere it would be quickly discovered. He wanted people to know what he had done. Whoever Stephen's killer was, they would have certainly been soaked in the blood of their victim. Knife murders tend to be quiet and relatively discreet, but they are messy, and any potential witnesses would have certainly noticed blood-stained clothing, unless, of course, they were wearing all black clothes. There's a chance the killer could have visited a public toilet to wash the blood off, and using a disabled toilet would have given him all the time and privacy he needed, a terrifying thought that one could do so with near impunity. The police only began their search for Stephen 4 days after he initially went missing, obviously having to have waited for a missing persons report to have been filed by his employers or his relatives. But it didn't take long to find his vehicle and subsequently his blood stain. Shit. Hey, there's the devil. They must work together, Jesus and the devil. They're like bros or something. But it didn't take long to find his vehicle and subsequently his blood-stained corpse, crammed cruelly. God, it's like a fucking tongue twister. But it didn't take long to find his vehicle and subsequently his blood-stained corpse, crammed cruelly into the trunk of his own taxicab. Police were baffled by the seemingly random and isolated murder, but that was only until it became apparent that the killer had struck again. Just half a year after the first murder, there was yet another slaying in the exact same area of London. The victim was a man named Pardeep Sangha. Sangha. Fuck, dude, how do you say this?
Sangha.
Sangha. Jesus Christ, how do I not remember this? The victim was a man named Pardeep Sangha, a South Asian driver who was employed by the company Blue Star Minicabs, located in Martindale Road, near Hounslow. Pardeep was an unselfish man, and actually helped supplement his father-in-law's income by driving his cab for a few hours during weekday evenings. Back in the 80s, most private hire taxis in the UK were not equipped with shortwave radios, so after completing each journey, they had no choice but to return to the company offices to wait for another fare. It was a Friday evening, the 30th of March 1984. Pardeep Sangha had already been occupied with about a dozen fares that evening and had returned to the company offices to await additional calls. Around midnight, someone called the Blue Star offices from a payphone located close to some traffic lights on the Great West Road. This particularly... God damn it. You want some dino nuggies? Do they make those still? Do they have to use real dino meat? Single as a Pringle that's about to get devoured. This particular payphone was only a short walk from the office, and it makes little sense that someone would waste the money calling when they could have simply made their way to the minicab company on foot. But what we know for certain is that the caller asked for a cab to drive them to Feltham, which, again, was not all that far from the offices themselves, maybe 20 minutes walk at the most. Around this same time, a man of large stature, who turned out to be a soldier as well as two young women, arrived at the offices, who coincidentally were also interested in catching a taxi nearby. Fuck. who coincidentally were also interested in catching a taxi to nearby Feltham. This, also with minor inconsistencies in the cab's company log sheet, confused police as to which fare Pardeep took first. Near to the payphone that made the initial call was a small wine bar known as the Boom Boom, as well as the South Asian restaurant called the Heathrow Tandoori. The Heathrow Tandoori, and it is entirely possible that whoever placed the call had been patronizing either one of those two businesses. But despite the close proximity and the number of potential witnesses in the area, not a single soul saw Pardeep arrive to pick up the passenger. What happened next is unclear. Neither the vehicle's supposed route nor the time frame made sense. But what we know is that Pardeep's vehicle was... But what we know is that Pardeep's vehicle was found completely abandoned and almost completely out of gas on a slip road just off of the A30, near to Heathrow. British places, it just makes sense to me, okay? Near to Heathrow's airport, southerly security... Southerly? Is southerly a word? Southerly? It is. In a southward position or direction. Near to Heathrow Airport's southerly security off... Shit. It's so fucking hot in here, oh my god. Near to Heathrow Airport's southerly security fence, someone had taken the keys from the ignition and attempted to wrench open the car's trunk, but had been unable to do so thanks to a mechanical failure. This all occurred most likely between the hours of 12:30 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Saturday the 31st of March, on a particularly busy stretch of highway that is frequented by very many lorries and trucks. Therefore, it is likely that someone at some point noticed the stranded vehicle and called it into the local police force. Then, just after 2 a.m., Pardeep Sangha was found slumped behind the passenger seat of his vehicle by police that arrived on scene. He had been stabbed to death in a frenzied, sustained attack that left his body with more than 30 individual stab wounds. They also observed that a few of Pardeep's credit cards were missing, along with a small amount of cash from his wallet. Pertaining to his last detail, it's entirely possible that the motive could have been a robbery gone wrong, but it's much more likely, given the murder had almost the exact same modus operandi as the Sylvester murder, and that the killer simply wished to mix up the details a little in order to throw potential investigators off of his scent. But regardless, the Metropolitan Police puzzled over the motives of the killer, given that Stephen Sylvester was of Afro-Caribbean extraction? The fuck? Joel sweat. Yeah, I'm dripping. I'm collecting it in a jar at my feet. I will be selling it online soon. Joel juice. Joel's stinky juices. But regardless, okay. It's not a secret anymore. No, not anymore. You should have thought before. Joel should do a live feed showing him reading for us with his sexy ass face. Yeah, I've thought about that, but I would just like, it's like too much, you know what I mean? It's just like too much, or no, my fan's on. My fan is on. The reason it was picking up earlier is because my microphone was turned up, because I thought somebody said that I was like too quiet, you know? So I turned it down to its old setting, and now we're good again because it's not picking up the fan as much. But I just feel like if I did a face cam, like, just like too many like things to think about at one time, like too many variables to sit there and ponder about, you know what I mean? But regardless, the Metropolitan Police, But regardless, the Metropolitan Police puzzled over the motives of the killer, given that Stephen Sylvester was of Afro-Caribbean extraction. What the fuck is that word? What is that talking about? Sangha.
Sangha.
Sangha. Sorry. Given that Stephen Sylvester was of Afro-Caribbean extraction and Pardeep Sangha was South Asian, could it be possible that the motive was racism? A slim possibility, but one to consider nonetheless. A police statement regarding the murders stated that they wished to question a man of larger stature in connection with the murders, but would not elaborate on why they wanted to do so. However, we know from further investigations that a replica Fairbairn Sykes Fairbairn? Fairbairn? What the fuck is Fairbairn? Fairbairn? Oh my god. Come on, Emma, just say the fucking word.
Fairbairn.
Fairbairn. It's like it takes 30 seconds to get into the word, and then you're lucky if it's not just like completely wrong. You want to see me do the crab dance? I love that song. And honestly, I don't think that song would be as popular if it wasn't for a bunch of 3D animated crabs. However, we know from further investigations that a replica Fairbairn Sykes commando dagger was deliberately left under the passenger seat of Stephen Sylvester's cab. Police quickly ruled out the possibility that it was Stephen's own knife, as it bore none of his fingerprints and such items are relatively rare. Fuck, I choked on spit. Police Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm like in a fucking hurry now because of this stupid gym shit. Honestly, I've never streamed with like a time frame, and I thought that I would have like enough time, but I'll probably have to stop after this story. Police quickly ruled out the possibility that this was Stephen's own knife, as it bore none of his fingerprints and such items are relatively rare, and often seen as purely collector's items. It appears the killer had deliberately left it there, possibly as some kind of calling card to clue investigators into his identity, or to throw them off the scent. Knives quickly became the factor that united both cases, and not just because they were the murder weapon of choice. In the case of Pardeep's murder, a U.S. Army trench knife commonly issued to... Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, yeah, I'll have to get a cam just for my twerks. Amanda back at it again with another $100 beaver bucks. His back streets back. All right. If your kitty had a middle name, what would it be? Oh my god, that's a tough one. Probably Blanket Fucker, because when he first got him, and he still does this from time to time, he likes to have sex with this. Well, I don't know if he's having sex. Like, that's unconfirmed. But we have this black blanket that he sits there and like he chews on it and then just kneads it for a long time. But if you flip him over, he's got like a full-on like boner. You know what I mean? So I'm under the interpretation that he's just like having sex with it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's true, but some people say like when you separate them from their mom, they get very like disconnected, or like they have to do those kind of things or whatever. You know, hump a pillow or whatnot. But so yeah, Pradeep Blanket Fucker, Let's Read's cat. But thank you so freaking much, Amanda. You're just taking a dump on me with them Canadian bucks right now. Holy wowzer. Knives quickly became the factor that united both cases, and not just because they were the murder weapon of choice. In the case of Pardeep's murder, a U.S. Army trench knife commonly used... In the case of Pradeep's murder, a U.S. Army trench knife commonly issued to U.S. Army Green Berets was found just over 2 miles away from the A30 highway, hidden behind a GPO junction box. Police tested blood samples and quickly confirmed that this was the murder weapon used to take Pardeep's life. But there's another interesting fact surrounding the man's murder. You see, Pradeep was of the Sikh religion, and one of the pillars of the religion is the idea that men should always carry a small ceremonial knife known as a kirpan. Gotta check how you say that. Kirpan, Kirpan, I don't fucking know. Come on, Merriam-Webster. Oh, you don't even... Come on, dude, you're the fucking dictionary. You don't have a pronunciation. Kirpan. Is it anybody have one of these Kirpan knives?
Kapan.
Kirpan. Alright, fuck it, we'll say in Kirpan. You see, guys. You see, Pardeep was of the Sikh religion, and one of the pillars of the religion is the idea that men should always carry a small ceremonial knife known as a kirpan. This one in particular had a blue band around it, which was never discovered and evidently taken as some kind of trophy. As stated previously, both cases remain unsolved to this day, but there are a few questions and interesting details that, if explored, could shine light on the killer's identity, whereabouts, or true motives. For example, there were a bunch of small keys found in the rear of Stephen Sylvester's car, and the Met Police could not seem to fathom why they had been left there. When taken to a locksmith, the expert key cutter Jesus Christ. Present? You got a kirpan for 50% off of a new kirpan. When taken to a locksmith, the expert key cutter present... Fuck, I was about to say... When taken to a locksmith, the expert key cutter present was certain that they were for a clock, either to wind an old... What? They forget words as they're typing. When taken to a locksmith, the expert key cutter present was certain that they were for a clock, either to wind an old one, but there was no doubt in my mind that if they had found the particular clock that these fit, that they'd have some kind of break in the case. Another key question would be just who exactly used the payphone to call in Pardeep that evening, the one so close to the cab office that it made very little sense for them to use it. Like I stated previously, the cab offices were just around the corner. The only reason I can think of that person... Oh my god, there's just so many random grammatical things that it's fucking throwing me off, sorry. Like I stated previously, the cab offices were just around the corner. The only reason I can think that that person didn't walk there would be to avoid being identified by potential witnesses, as well as avoiding any CCTV cameras present on the way or in the offices themselves. However, in the aftermath of Pardeep's murder, a few truck drivers who were using the A30 in the wee small hours of the 31st of March came forward with information. Witnesses told of a man standing near a vehicle with taxicab markings, and was described as being in his late 30s to early 40s, wearing a gray two-piece suit with gray or sandy-colored hair. There's a possibility that he was merely a passerby, a man who had pulled over to simply offer to help someone in need. But if that was the case, where was his vehicle? No eyewitnesses reported an additional car parked up at the side of the road, so we can deduce conclusively that this man was indeed the passenger at the time, and if he was the passenger, he was also the man that murdered Pardeep and took his ceremonial knife as a trophy. It has been 37 years since Sylvester Stallone. It has been 37 years since Stephen Sylvester was murdered whilst working his night shift, and police are no closer to uncovering the truth of his killing than they were back then. There are many, many uncertainties surrounding such a case, but one thing is terrifyingly uncertain: that a cold, calculated individual, who was psychopathically obsessed with knives, was able to plan and execute 2 murders and get away scot-free. In all likelihood, there is a man walking around London today going about his daily life who has fond memories of those 2 nights in 1983 and 1984 when he indulged in his murderous fantasies and made them a reality. There's every chance that, every so often, he opens up a small, locked cabinet hidden away in his home and takes... Oh my goodness. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Oh my gosh. Mediocre bit with a 50. Big one says the pilot was 2 hours late for our 6 a.m. flight, so we missed our connection. I ran across the terminal for nothing. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. That shit is like one of my biggest fears. I've been really fortunate with like flights and stuff to not have like crazy shit like that happen, but dude, I just think that I don't understand like how like that stuff happens all the time in airports, and I understand like it's hard to all that sort of figuring out all that organization there, all that logistics, but the fact that it happens so often, the fact that you like have to just be comfortable with it, you know what I mean? It just pisses me off, It's like those systems should be run way more efficient in my opinion, but obviously I'm just a hater on airports. But mediocre bit, thank you so much for the 50, and I hope you get everything sorted out there. It's crazy. Oh, Hannah, it sounds pretty good over your car speakers. There's every chance that every so often he opens up a small, locked cabinet hidden away in his home and takes out a small ceremonial Sikh dagger and feels the cold brass in his palm, taking him all the way back to that night when he took Pardeep's life. And there's also a distinct possibility that the man takes an immense amount of pleasure in knowing that he's walking around with impunity, even given the fact that he took trophies, left clues, and was actually spotted by witnesses. For all intents and purposes, he outsmarted one of the oldest, most effective branches of law enforcement the world has ever known. He has taken his place alongside the likes of Jack the Ripper and Jill Dando's murderer, who were able to commit some of the worst crimes in history and remain completely undetected. We can only hope that the families of the slain can find some peace in some manner, even when their relatives died in such grisly, We can only hope that the families of the slain can find peace in some manner, even when their relatives died in such grisly, mysterious ways. All right, my friends. I only have a... Oh, fuck. What time is it? Shit, let me just check something real quick. Just to see what, what I have programmed. I fucking hate that everything everything in the world is closed. It closes early. Everything sucks. 2020 sucks ass, except for you guys. You guys rock. Okay, yesterday. So, the workout, back squat, leg focus, and that one. Okay, yeah, fuck it. Let's just read this last one. It's not very long. We'll burn through it, and then I'll send you guys out into the world, and I can go lift a weight and stop being cranky boy. I'm sorry if I have been. I don't fly anymore. I used to. A whole bunch, actually. It was a big part of my job to fly around the country to pitch investment prospects at meetings held for wealthy hedge fund managers. It was a cushy job. I mean, it paid far, far more than it was worth. But now I work from home and I drive everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. I live in New York City, but my parents live down in Florida since they retired, and yep, I drive down there to see them, 3 times a year sometimes. It's pretty terrible, but I'd rather drive all the way there and get the stomach flu from bad roadside tacos than fly. And now I'll tell you why. It was a regular flight from LaGuardia, I assume it's LaGuardia. It was a regular sexually frustrated, maybe, who fuck knows. It was a regular flight from LaGuardia down to Houston, another business trip to finance flirt with oil-rich investors down in Texas. I was sat in a window seat in business class. Takeoff was perfectly normal. Everything was peachy keen. Nothing I hadn't done 100 times before as I thumbled through the in-flight magazine and... Thumbled? What the fuck? Why did I say thumbled? Nothing I hadn't done 100 times before as I thumbed through the in-flight magazine and browsed the drinks menu. I had to get up at like 5:30 in order to make the flight, and I've never been a morning person, so as soon as I was able, I shut the window flap next to me, closed my eyes, and tried to catch a few Z's so I'd be fresh as possible for the afternoon meeting. Then, just as I'm about to drift off, I hear a loud pop noise. In my weary state, I actually thought it was a champagne bottle being opened by some celebratory... In my weary state, I actually thought it was a champagne bottle being opened by some celebratory suit who was opting for the fizz breakfast. I look around and no one has a bottle. There's no attendant with an ice bucket, nothing like that. Then some horrible idea pops into my head, and in order to belay my seemingly irrational fears, I slide open the check on the plane's left wing engine. I remember expecting it to be fine. Nothing had ever happened on a flight before, even though I've had those little flashes of fear previously. But it was not fine. The popping sound had been exactly what I feared. There was smoke billowing from the engine, and thick stream of dark vapor that trailed along as we flew. I grabbed an attendant and silently pointed out the window, not wanting to raise too much of a panic. When she looked, she turned pale, then rushed up the aisle in the direction of the cockpit. Moments later, others were noticing what I'd seen, cries of panic sounding from all along the plane as more and more people noticed the danger we were in. People were rushing over to the left side of the plane, looking out the windows and screaming. All the while, the air hostesses aboard were trying everything they could to both keep calm as well as keeping the passengers calm. Right before the terror reached fever pitch, the pilot comes over the intercom. I think that was the weirdest, most surreal moment of my life when people were losing their freaking minds, but the captain was calm enough to point to the point of seeming almost bored. I suppose that's just the level of training they receive. The captain tells everyone to keep calm and to go back to their seats, and that the plane will be making an emergency landing at the nearest airport, which by that point was an airport in Norfolk, Virginia. We actually landed just fine, and the only remotely bad thing to really happen that day was that I had to rearrange the investment meeting. But I swear to God, part of me thought that the plane was about to become a fireball, as the engine exploded and we plummeted towards Earth at like 500 miles an hour. It was probably the most terrifying experience I've ever endured, and despite me trying to, I was never able to get on a plane ever again. So like I said, I drive everywhere now, and as much as it sucks, it's better than getting the cold sweats and panic attacks from sitting on a runway somewhere, just waiting for the engines to go up in flames. Okay, time to read the outro. Also, that is scary. Butthole tattoos won't fade from sun exposure, at least. That's a good point. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story to submit, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord, interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data. Located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, douche your ass before you peg. Oh my god, Jessica, I can't say that. I just read your thing and I was like, oh wait. Joel has a taint tattoo. This is true. Can confirm. Posted online. Go look for that. Do the crab dance. Do, 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 do. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, do the crab dance. Do 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 do. Ignore the dead body. All right, my friends. I am sorry. Well, first off, thank you guys for being so incredibly awesome, so incredibly generous. Holy shit, freaking blow me away sometimes with just a random midday stream. But thank you for being patient with me and awesome and being here and supportive. I really appreciate that. This video will be out on Patreon first, $1 a month on there. Get the MP3, you can download that. And then it will be out tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All nicely pretty and edited and all that good stuff. So stick around for that. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy. Follow me on Instagram at letsread.official. Follow my meme page at Horny Computer for all of the hilarity that ensues there. But thank you guys for another awesome time. I'm going to go get swole. I hope you guys can do the same. All right. Adios, my friend Diosa.